Hello guys, my name is Tejas Sudhakar K and we are back with another video. So in today's video we're going to discuss about Small Shareholder Director. What are we going to discuss about? Small Shareholder Director. So is this topic important for exam? 100% this is important for your exam. Okay, and this video is part of our ongoing series whereby the objective of these videos is to make sure that all the students will be able to revise these important topics quickly and memorize them quickly. So these will be your bite-sized videos of around 10 to ranging from 10 to 20 minutes. Okay, so that once you watch these videos you will be able to understand the concept better, you will be able to remember the concepts better and probably write better answers. So this is the takeaway from the videos that you will be mainly having. So as I said, today's video we're going to discuss about Small Shareholder Director. So why do we need small shareholders and who is this small shareholder director? Okay, so when you and me purchase shares of a company, okay, what did we study? For every single share, you will get something called as voting rights, voting power. You can cast your votes in the general meetings. Whenever there is meeting of shareholders, we call that general meetings, and whenever there is a general meeting, you can go and cast your vote. And why do you have the right to cast your vote? Because you are a shareholder of the company, right? The reason you are getting your voting power is because you are the shareholder of the company, right? Now think about it. The number of shares that you and me, people like you and me, we call them retail investors generally, or small investors, let's not use technical word for this, okay, small shareholders. The shares that they have, I agree that they have voting power, but is it enough to make a difference in the company's policy decisions? Of course not. Of course it is not sufficient. You need something more, right? You need a majority voting power, or at least a substantial amount of voting power to make an actual difference in the voting power, in the decisions of the company. Now, people like you and me do not have so much of voting power. So does that mean that we should be ignored? Of course not. See, when you studied, if at all you studied your company law in the initial chapters, you would have come across one word, and that word is your shareholders democracy, right? See, why is the shareholders democracy so important? Shareholders democracy is important because every single shareholder should be heard, he should be represented. That's the whole concept of shareholders democracy. Now whenever you are having your local elections, from your area there will be always one MLA, okay? Why do we elect one MLA from our area? So that there is someone from our locality who is representing our interest at the assemblies, right? That's the whole point of having an MLA. Think of small shareholder director as the MLA of these small shareholders, okay? What will he do? Sir, he is a director of the company. He will have all the powers of a director. He is like a normal director. He will have powers under section 179 and these powers will be restricted under section 180. There is no difference in that. Okay, there is no difference in that. All that happens is that he is a director who is not generally nominated by small shareholders. The other way is if the company itself feels that if they feel responsible and they feel the need of a small shareholder director, they themselves can appoint, no one is stopping them from it. The company is not doing it, then the small shareholders have the right to nominate someone as your small shareholder director. They have a right to nominate someone as a small shareholder director. Clear? Okay. Now, let's start with the provision. So, one section, one rule. Which is that section? Section number 151. Whenever I am telling it on the video, I expect you guys to keep repeating along with me when you are watching this video. That's how you're going to remember. I always keep telling students that whether you like it or not, these exams are your memory based exams. So you need to memorize stuff. If you think you're too cool or you're too old to read it out loud and memorize like a kid, no boss, you will not be able to remember. That's one of the most effective and the most basic forms of memorization. Okay, so whenever I am telling something, I expect you guys to repeat it along with me, all the sections that I am telling. Okay, so which section? Section 151 of Companies Act 2013 and Rule 7. These are the two provisions that you need to remember. Okay, which we already discussed. I've given short notes for your examination point of view. Okay, look at this. First, what is the objective? To protect the interests of the minority shareholders. To protect the interests of the minority shareholders in the large listed companies. Sir, does this mean that small shareholder director, the concept is only applicable to listed companies? Yes, it is only and only applicable to your listed companies, and that's your next point, that is applicability only to your listed companies. But then someone is having shares worth face value of 10,000 rupees. Someone is having shares worth 30,000 rupees. Now each one will feel, sir, I am a small shareholder. Sir, I am a small shareholder. Now Companies Act is clarifying that, boss, who exactly is a small shareholder? Anyone who is holding a nominal value of not more than 20,000. So if you are holding shares more than 20,000 in face value, you can never be a small shareholder director. You can never be a small shareholder director. To be a small shareholder director, you should be holding 20,000 or less than 20,000. So less 20,000 or less than 20,000 worth of face value. Remember this is not your market value of shares. You might be having market value of 1 lakh shares, but your face value, if it is less than or equal to 20,000, then you will be a small shareholder. Okay, and you will be having a right to nominate a small shareholder director. So let's continue. But how is the small shareholder director appointed? See, boys, there are two modes. One, which I already told you, is the company itself. It realizes that, boss, there is a need for a small shareholder director. We need to protect the small shareholder director. Otherwise, we will not be able to understand what exactly the small shareholders need. So that's the reason we need to appoint someone called as a small shareholder director. So forget about small shareholders. They are not taking any initiative. I myself will take initiative and I will appoint in my company a small shareholder director. Rarely it happens, but let's say this does happen. Okay. So one option is suo motu, where the listed company decides on its own to appoint a small shareholder director. Or you have another mode, which is typical and traditional, okay, where another person should come and, sir, I am a small shareholder and I want to nominate a small shareholder director. Can one small shareholder is sufficient to nominate? Of course not. Of course not. How many do we need? 1,000 small shareholders, 1,000 small shareholders, or 1/10 of the total number of small shareholders. How many? Either 1,000 small shareholders or 1/10 of your small shareholders, whichever is less. The reason behind this is, let's say the company is only having 2,000 shareholders. In that, let's say the small shareholders are only 500. Now, anyways, we will not be touching the 1,000 points. See, even if you understand this, it's okay. Even if you don't understand, it's fine. But all you need to remember is 1,000 or 1/10 of the total number of small shareholders. Do not get confused. This 1/10 is of the total number of small shareholders, not 1/10 of the total shareholders. See, your shareholders in the company might be 10,000, but your small shareholders might only be 1,000 in your company, or 8,000 in the company. 10,000 is the total number of small shareholders in your company. That is the difference. Okay, whichever is lower. Okay, then they can make an application. They can give a notice to the company, that, boss, that we want to appoint so and so person as a small shareholder director. Okay, you, of course, you have to inform the company of your intention, that, boss, we would be happy if you appoint so and so person as a small shareholder director. Okay, now let's look at the procedure that these small shareholders need to follow for making sure that the small shareholder director is appointed. Okay, now coming to the procedure for notice. Okay, sorry, okay, I'm having a cold and yeah. So now what is the procedure for notice? Notice must be left at the company 14 days before the meeting. What kind of meeting are they talking about? They are talking about your general meeting. General meeting. Okay. Now think about it. Whenever a general meeting is given, what is the minimum duration of notice that you need to give? Minimum 21 clear days. Okay. So 21 clear days of notice. First I will give the notice. Then I have given 7 days. Now let's say I am Companies Act. So Companies Act is telling, boss, so I am telling it to the company. Boss, I have given you 21 days to send a notice of the general meeting. Fine. And I am telling the small shareholder that, boss, I am giving you how much time? You have 14 days. For what time? You have to send your notice of intention to appoint a small shareholder director not more than at least 14 days before the date of meeting. How many days? At least 14 days before the date of meeting. If you look at the gap between 21 days and 14 days, you have 7 days gap. So that's the logic behind it. First I will give the notice. Okay. First company will give the notice. Company will get, all the shareholders will get their notices, and the shareholders have 7 days of time to decide who should be appointed as a small shareholder, and immediately you have to send the notice to the company. Okay, you have to send a notice to the company that, boss, we are nominating so and so person as our small shareholder director. Okay, now what are the contents of the notice? Which notice? The notice that is sent by the small shareholders. Sent by the small shareholders. What? Of course his name. I have to tell who is that small shareholder that we are nominating. Where does it stay? How many shares is he holding? Is it mandatory for him to hold shares? No, boss, it is not mandatory. Okay, it is not mandatory. Then the folio number. You guys would have studied in share and share capital. What is a folio number? Folio number is nothing but your, basically in register of members, the page number on which each and every shareholder will have a separate folio in which he is holding, where we are clearly telling, okay, boss, Tejas Sudhakar holds 100 shares of so and so company, and he purchased it at this price, and he has purchased these many shares on this particular date. That is folio number. Let's say he is not holding shares. Will folio number be necessary? Of course not. Okay. Then the details of the proposed director. What are the details? Your director identification number, your consent to act as a director. Remember, your consent to act as a director is always in the form DIR. Why? Which form? DIR 2. Okay. And a statement that they are not disqualified under section 164. These are the information that we need to give along with our notice to the company. Now, is it possible for a small shareholder director to be an independent director? Yes. Yes, it is possible. But is it mandatory for him to be a small shareholder director? No. I'll repeat it once again. Repeat it along with me. Is it possible for a small shareholder director to be an independent director? 100% yes. Is it mandatory for a small shareholder director to be an independent director? No, it is not mandatory. Okay, you got the difference between both. Okay, see, if at all the person I nominated as a small shareholder director is complying with 149(6), which is nothing but your conditions for becoming an independent director. If at all you are a small shareholder director, you are proposed a small shareholder director who is also complying with 149(6), you will act as a small shareholder director who is also an independent director. So the company will also be benefited by, it becomes easier for the company to have an independent director, because see, you would have remember those companies, at least half of the board of directors should be independent directors, or 1/3 of the board of directors should be independent director. In case of public companies with certain thresholds, at least 2 directors should be independent director. Now for company also, it becomes easier to comply with this provision. If at all that small shareholder director is complying with 149(6) and he is also a small shareholder director, then yes, he is a small shareholder director who is also an independent director. But is it mandatory for a small shareholder director to be an independent director? Absolutely not. Okay, he may or may not act as an independent director. Then his reappointment. Okay, sorry. Then a person can be act as a small shareholder director in maximum 2 companies, but provided that the second company is not a competitor of the first company. I was appointed in ABC Limited as a small shareholder director. Can I act as a small shareholder director in another company? Yes. Let's say XYZ Limited. Now I have to make sure that ABC Limited and XYZ Limited are not competitors. If at all they are not competitors, then I can be appointed as a small shareholder director in XYZ Limited. Got it? Okay. How many companies can I be appointed as a small shareholder directors? 2. Now what should I make sure that both the companies are not conflicting with each other or not in competitive business with each other. Okay. Now coming to the tenure, what is the maximum tenure? Maximum tenure is 3 consecutive years. Is he eligible for reappointment? He is not eligible for reappointment as a small shareholder director. Once his term of 3 years is over, he cannot be reappointed as a small shareholder director once again. Okay. And what is the cooling off period? The cooling off period is 3 years. Okay. Remember this. And he will also not be liable for retirement of directors by rotation under section 152. Okay. He will also not be liable for retirement by rotation. Okay. So one, tenure is 3 years. Is he eligible for reappointment? No, boss. Is he liable to be retired by rotation? No, boss. Then what is the cooling period? Like if at all he needs to be appointed as a small shareholder director or he needs to be associated with the company in any other capacity, what is the cooling off period? The cooling off period is 3 years. Now what happens if at all there is a vacation of office? Okay, fine. First let's understand how will you vacate the office. Either you were disqualified under section 164 or the office becomes vacant under 167, that is your casual vacancy. Then you have independence. If at all you were a small shareholder director and also an independent director and you stopped being an independent director, then you will also cease to hold the office. See, the issue is only simple. The issue will only come up when you were appointed, not when you were appointed as a small shareholder director. The issue comes when you were appointed as a small shareholder director as well as an independent director. So you were supposed to make sure that you never ever breach or break the conditions given in 149(6). Right? You are a small shareholder director and you are not supposed to break the conditions given in 149(6). But what did you do? You ended up breaking those conditions under 149(6). So you will automatically stop being a small shareholder director. Okay. Now coming to how will you remember this? Listed companies, 1000 shareholders or 1/10 of the total number of shareholders, nominal value of 20,000 and the tenure is 3 years and 3 years cooling off period. L123. That's how you will remember all the important key points of small shareholder director. Do not worry, you will get these notes in the description down below. Okay. And whatever doubts you have, please leave a comment and I will respond and any doubts you have, I will respond to those doubts in the comment section itself. Okay. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, study well. You just have 24 days left for your exams. So make sure to make the best use of the remaining time, and you will be having a lot of doubts, sir. Will I be able to clear this exam? Is it possible or not possible? A short answer, yes, it is possible, provided you're consistent, you do not give up. It is normal to get all these negative thoughts. It is normal to get stressed about all these things, but you don't have to worry about all these things. Stay positive, study, pray God, keep working hard, take care of your health, make sure that you do not fall sick like me. Okay, just be active, study well, stay positive, and you will be fine. And do not discuss a lot with your friends. How did you complete that? Did I complete that? No, don't do that. Now focus only and only on your preparation. That is what is most needed right now. Okay, so until next time, bye guys.